So if you're watching this video, you probably want to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Or not, but I do think it has some value to it. Now I can't guarantee you that it'll make you any friends, but I will say it's good for people that like to fidget with their hands, like me, and it's also really good for problem solving skills. I will say before we get started that there's two algorithms that will be used multiple times throughout this video. One's called the righty algorithm and one's called the lefty algorithm. And anytime we get to a step that has them, I'm just going to put them up here in a diagram to show you. So rather than going through it over and over again, I feel like it'd be a lot quicker and easier if I just had it up there. So thank you for taking your time to watch this, and let's get to the tutorial. The first step is going to be creating the white cross. But before I move any of the white edge pieces to the white side, I actually want to go ahead and move them to the yellow side. The reason being is that this will set us up to solve the white cross correctly. As you can see here, we have our white edge pieces on the yellow side. So the reason why I move it to the yellow side first is so that we can line up our respective pieces to the side that they're supposed to be on, and whenever we move them to the white side, it's going to line up correctly. So I'm going to move orange to the orange side and plug it in, move red to the red side and plug it in, and then green to green and plug it in. Once we have our white cross solved, we want to position all of our white corner pieces to where we have a completed first layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is just have the white on bottom and yellow side on top. So just turning the cube around, we want to look for any of these white corner pieces. So we have one right here. But in order to position this correctly, we have to look at our other two colors. This one has orange and green. What we're going to do is we're going to orient the cube to where we have the green and orange between the green and orange side. And to place this where it needs to go, which is right here, we're going to place the piece to where it is on the top right of our view. And to place it down here, we're going to do the righty algorithm enough times to where it just eventually plugs in. So first time, didn't do it correctly. A few more times, and now it is positioned correctly. We might run into a case to where a piece is already placed in the correct spot, but it is twisted the wrong way. So let's just place it in the bottom right corner and do our righty algorithm, and it'll eventually face the correct direction. With the first layer complete, we get to move on to the second layer, which is this entire middle layer right here. So with the yellow still facing on top, we're going to skim around this top layer until we find a piece that does not have yellow on it. For example, this piece right here. So with the piece facing in front of us, we have blue, so we're going to match it with the blue side. With that piece on the blue side, we should have red and orange next to it. So looking at the top, we have a red piece, and that piece needs to go right here, but we can't just do that because it messes everything else up. So in order to place this where it needs to go, we're going to move it away from the side that it needs to go. So for example, if with this on the right side, we're going to move it to the left. And if we move it to the left, we're going to start with the righty algorithm. So with the righty algorithm, we're going to take this corner out like this. Then we're going to turn the cube 90 degrees, and then we're going to reinsert it with the lefty algorithm. Looking around the top layer again, we have another piece that does not have yellow on it, but this one has blue in the front. So let's move it to the blue side. Now paying attention to what color is on the top, we have orange. Red is over here, and orange is over here. So with orange on the left side this time, we're going to move the piece on top to the right. And if we move it to the right, we're going to start with the lefty algorithm. Let's do the lefty algorithm to bring this corner piece out. We'll turn the cube this way. Now we're going to do our righty algorithm to reinsert it back in with that piece solved. So we might run into a case to where a piece is in the correct spot, but it's twisted the wrong way. So in order to fix this, all we're going to do is just use one of our two algorithms that we did. So I'll start with the right. It doesn't matter which one you start with, as long as you could take that piece out. And we're going to move it to the front, and green is over here. Move it to the left. And we fixed it. So now we are halfway done solving our Rubik's Cube, and now we get to move on to the yellow cross. So for the yellow cross, there are 3 different possible cases that we can get, so I'll go through them one at a time. Our first case is this L shape or R shape, whatever you want to call it. And the way we want to have it oriented is that we have one side facing to the right and the other one facing towards us. Now this step is a little bit tricky, so pay close attention on how I turn these sides. So we are going to turn these 2 whole layers that's in front of us, just like this, without messing up the backside. And then we're going to do our righty algorithm just one time, and then we're going to move those 2 layers back. The next case involves a straight line, and we want it facing horizontally. So it's very similar to the first case, but instead of moving 2 layers, we're only going to move 1 front layer. So just like that, we do our righty algorithm and move this layer back, and it's solved. If we get a case to where it's only the dot in the center and there's no other pieces solved, all we have to do is just the same thing as the second case with the horizontal line, where we only move the first layer. And that sets us up for the first case with the L, and then we just repeat the first case. For the next step, we want to orient all of our cross pieces to where we can match up the colors to their respective sides as much as possible. So we have 2 cases. One is that all 4 are going to match up off the bat and you don't have to worry about this step. But for this case, we only have 2 that match up. So in order to do this step, we're going to position it to where we have one of our pieces facing the back and the other one facing the right. And then we're going to perform this algorithm. Right, up, right prime, up, right, up, right prime. And then now, whenever we try to position our pieces correctly, all 4 should be in place. Now that we have the yellow edge pieces in the right spot, we have to do the same thing with the corners. So looking around the cube, we're going to try to find any corners that are already in their correct spot, such as this one. We have yellow, blue, and orange, and it is already between its respective sides. So looking over here, we have yellow, orange, and green, which is not between its respective sides. Same thing with this piece and this piece. So we only have 1 corner that is in the correct spot. In the case that we only have 1 corner piece solved, make sure that you're holding the cube like this and that your piece is in the top right facing towards you. And we're going to use this algorithm. Turn the top layer with your right hand and then go up on the right side. And then we're going to mirror that to the left. Turn the top with your left hand and go up on the left side. For this next step, turn the top with the right, but instead of going up, we go down and then mirror that on the left. Push the top layer and then go down. Now we're going to check and see if it's correct. This is still the only correct one, so all we have to do is do that again. So top layer right, top layer left, top layer right, top layer left. And now our cube is in the right orientation. In the case that none of our corners are in the correct spot, all we have to do is the same thing as the first case, but instead of doing it on a specific side, we could just pick one, and then once we find the side that worked, we do it from there. So this one ended up in the right spot. We'll use the algorithm. Double check, and it looks solved. Okay, we are on the very last step of solving the Rubik's Cube. All of our pieces are in the correct spot, but unfortunately, these yellow pieces are not facing the correct direction, so we have to fix that. Start by placing the yellow side on bottom with the white on top. And we're going to go to every single one of these pieces one at a time and put them in the correct direction. So starting with this one right here, we can start with any single one of them. It does not matter. And we are going to do the righty algorithm until the yellow side is facing down. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that is in the correct direction now. But we have to move on to the next one. In order to move on to the next one, we have to twist the bottom layer, not the whole cube, only the bottom layer to bring the next piece in. And then we do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, move on to the next one. By twisting the bottom, we have this one right here. 1, 2. It is facing the bottom. One more piece. 1, 2. And now our cube is solved.